Hi everyone, today we're going to continue working with multiplying with fractions, but today we're going to show you something a little bit different. We're going to try to multiply fractions using a unity fraction. Before I show you that, let's solve this the usual way. If I was just going to multiply numerator times numerator, 3 times 5 is 15, and then 5 times 7 is 35. I'll get 15 over 35. I can't leave it like that. That's a very complex fraction. I have to simplify it. I would divide by 5 over 5, and I would get 3/7. But today I want to show you a different method. Let's take the same fractions, but I'm going to show you something different. I want us to think about the commutative property of multiplication. The commutative property says I can reorganize the order of my numbers and get the same answer. Instead of doing 5 times 7, I'm going to keep it 3 times 5. But my denominator, instead of being 5 times 7, I'm going to change it to be 7 times 5. When I line it up like this, you see a unity fraction. And you should be remembering that a unity fraction is equal to 1 whole. So if I'm multiplying 3/7 times 1, what will that equal to? Right? Same thing as 3/7 times 1, and that will equal to 3/7. And that's the same answer we got over there. Now, why does that work? Because you see how we divided by 5 over here? Here, we kind of divided by 5 again. We just pulled it out because 5 over 5 is the same thing as 1 whole. That's our unity fraction. So when the unity fraction is very clear, it's easy to see. But let me try a different example now, where maybe it's not as obvious. Let's say I have a different fraction, 6/8 times 4 over 12. Now right here, looking at it, there's no obvious unity fraction. Even if I change the order, it's still none of the same digits. But maybe I can look at my numbers and see if I can change them to their factors that would give us a unity fraction. So let's think. Think to yourself, pause the video for a minute and think, what could you do to find unity fractions here? What I hope you did while you paused it, I hope you looked at the 8 and the 4, and I hope you were thinking that 8 is the same thing as 2 times 4. And if you've done that, if I change the 8, now I have 2 times 4. Here I have a denominator and a numerator of 4, so they can cancel out. Done. And what about the 6? Well, a 12 is 2 times 6. So I can also cross out the 6's. Great. But now I have a little bit of a question. I don't have anything left as my numerator. What's my numerator now? So remember that 1 is always a factor. So if you have no digits left in your numerator or in your denominator, you always put 1. So my numerator is now 1. And now multiplying the denominator, only multiply what's left. Multiply what's not been crossed out. So that's 2 times 2, and that is 4, 1/4. Well, let's double check and make sure this really works. What would it have been if I didn't use this method? If I just did 6/8 times 4/12. Pause the video and solve that now the way you normally would. Well, when you solve it the normal way, you would multiply across 6 times 4, which would be 24, and then 8 times 12, which would be 96. But of course, you couldn't leave it 24 over 96. You'd be thinking, oh, I have to simplify now. What can I divide 24 and 96 by? Well, they're both even. I don't know. Truth is, we do know you can divide them both by 24 because we know that it's equal to 1/4. So would you rather have to go through this simplifying, or you can simplify it right there? Let's try another few. Let's try this one. 3/10 times 5/12. So right now, before I do anything, I want you to think, where are you going to find a unity fraction? Well, hopefully, You're looking at your simple numbers. I have a 3 there and I have a 5 here. Can I get a 3 or a 5? Oh, I really can, because a 10 is 2 times 5 and a 12 is 3 times 4. So if I'm going to use those numbers instead, I can take my 3 out, take my 3 out, take my 5 out, and take my 5 out. What am I left with? Well, there's nothing on top. 1 is always a factor. I'm left with 2 times 4, and that's 8, 1/8. Okay, we're going to do one more. Something a little bit different, looks a little bit different. 8 over 15 times 3 over 4. Now again, we're looking for unity fractions. Unity fraction means the same digit as the numerator and the denominator. In this case, you might be changing some numerators to their factors. Looking at 15. 15 is 3 times 5. Looking at 8, 8 is 2 times 4. What can we cross off? I can cross off this 4 with this 4. I can cross off this 3 with this 3. What am I left with? I have a numerator of 2 and a denominator of 5. My answer is 2/5. And that's how we do it.